Do it. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Fairway to Heaven, right here on DSM Media. We're live, as always, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Hit that retweet button. Smash that share button. And if you want to get involved with the conversation, as these examples are popping up, the best way to interact, the best way to ask your questions about this week's PGA event is to go over to the YouTube page and put your comments over there. Make sure while you're over there, you hit subscribe, thumbs up, and hit the little bell. It turns the notifications on and let you know every time we're live on DSM Media. I am Phil Stoffel. You can follow me at Bearded Knowledge. My co-partner every single week right here on the show, Jason Sullivan at JSully2121. And our guest this week, Byron. We all know him at the Model Maniac, drinking a fantastic-looking spiked Arnold Palmer over there. I love it. They're not sponsoring us,
Nice.
but maybe they
Don't
will
need
someday.
to make us happy.
I'm,
It's okay.
I'm a huge fan of that. And we are brought to you here at the Fairway to Heaven podcast by Fantasy National Golf Club, one of the leaders in model making. Not to use your name there, Byron, but Fantasy National, their model making system, their course history, all the stuff they do at their website is fantastic. Make sure you check them out, fantasynational.com. They provide the tools to help you make the best possible decisions in building your fantasy lineups. Byron, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us on the show this evening.
Boys, thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. Lots of fun stuff going on. Drinking the Arnold Palmies. I know we've all got a nice cold one next to us somewhere, so it's going to be a fun hour with you guys. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And Jason, how you doing tonight?
Dude, I'm doing great. This is one of my favorite tournaments of the year, every year, so I'm pumped to talk about the Arnold Palmer. Great tournament last week, too. I know we all had a lot of burger in our lineups last week, so it hurt a little bit, but it was a very exciting tournament. I was very happy with Sepp Straka. He was in a lot of my lineups as well. Sorry, Byron, but he was. I had Berger and Sepp Straka on a lot of my lineups, which is great. So, yeah, I'm just pumped for this week.
Dude, I talk about it all the time about the roller. Why I love fantasy golf is because it's a roller coaster. Jason likes to make fun of me, Byron, because I'm the screenshot king. I love to screenshot my lineups. And Thursday it's here, Friday it's down here, and then it just keeps going up and down. Going into Sunday morning, I did 22 lineups last week. I was cashing in 17 of them. I was about 3-4 times up my money. And then I ended up the week, I think I lost 70% of my money by the time Sunday was over. That was a brutal Sunday, Byron.
Brutal, dude. And, just thinking about that, 65, 70 guys make the cut. And then this monsoon comes in with, one group left on the course. And it's the leaders. And the group in front of them gets to hit down a fairway that's bone dry, gets rained on during the entire second shot. And then all of a sudden, the final group is playing in a swamp. It's just, I couldn't believe how quickly it just changed. And Lowry and Berger just got the shaft, and that's just what happens, right? It takes a break like that to make it. Like Jordan hit that bunker shot at John Deere where it just hit the flag, game-changing shot, So it takes a lot to get a winner, man. It does.
That's why fantasy golf and gambling on golf, it's the best sport to play. And if you're a gambler of any kind, it's why it's so fun. Because that roller coaster, it sucks when you lose, but also it could be the complete opposite, like it was for Jason. That Sepp Straka hit, completely flipped his weekend away. Yeah, and we are in the Florida swing, as Hingo's checking in here saying the Florida weather. I'm in Florida right now. I'm down at my in-laws in Fort Myers, and it was 85 and sunny yesterday. Today, it was supposed to be 85, but this system blew in. It never cracked 75 today. It was cloudy and cool. 75 is still better than, 35-degree Philadelphia or Jason, whatever it is in Detroit this week. But, I'm not complaining, but, Florida weather is so unpredictable.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk this week.
You
got the
too.
I
was gonna say.
Go ahead.
Hey, real quick. I was just gonna say about the Florida weather. Just kind of what you were saying is like that's the biggest thing too. Obviously, like the rain came in last week, but it could be wind. That's the scariest part, especially on a course like this week, where it seems like the wind can pop up out of nowhere. Like Byron was talking about, like it could be fine the first half of the round, and then you might get the shaft when you're one of the last groups that comes through in the wind or the rain or whatever it is. And it's like, we know Florida weather, like it comes and goes quickly, but hopefully it doesn't affect you. That's the crappy part.
So, it's actually funny because I'm looking at my notes here that I took because, even though I'm on vacation, I did some homework, I did some research for tonight, and I saw somebody on Twitter, I forget who said it, but someone said they called this stretch in Florida the grinder stretch of tournaments. And I kind of thought that because of the weather, that's like, I don't know if he was meaning it the same way as I'm thinking about it, but that weather makes you feel like you've got to grind because you just never know when the weather's going to flip on a dime and just change the type of course that you're playing. One course at 4:00 in the afternoon, 4:30 in the afternoon, it's completely different. So I thought that was an interesting, phrase to use during this Florida swing, grinder courses. The birdie fests are gone. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you guys think that's a fair phrase to use or not.
Oh yeah, 100%. People have been speaking about how anyone can contend here, even if you're not the best ball striker. You just slap it up to the green and get it in the hole, right? Depending if the wind blows, then you're in.
Yeah.
If not, then so be it. Next week, go again. So
the Arnold Palmer Invitational, like Jason said, one of our favorite events. And last year, it was. I'm actually disappointed this year because he had to withdraw. Last year's final round between Bryson DeChambeau, who, if you don't know Brian, I'm a huge Bryson guy. I'm Team Bryson, not Team Brooks. I had a little bit of a man crush on DeChambeau last year, but I also love Lee Westwood. He's also one of my favorite golfers. So to see those two different style of golfers be able to go head to head and really be able to, it wasn't like one blew out the other one out of the water. It was must-see TV last year, the final round of this event.
Oh, yeah, dude. And Lee Westwood was on back-to-back must-see TV episodes, right? Poor guy, just thank God he had his missing on the bag. Otherwise, he would have been real down in the dumps. But, it puts out some great tournaments for sure. It's exciting stuff.
All right, so Jason, you write your tournament course preview for FanShare every single week, and you talk about the course and stuff like that. So obviously, for those that don't know, it's one of the longer, more difficult courses on tour. Tell us a little bit about Bay Hill Club and what the golfers are going to see and what we as the gamblers and the fantasy guys need to be looking at as key stats going into this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So 7,454 yards, par 72. It does play as a less than driver course a lot of the time. A lot of guys aren't really going to take driver out of the bag all that often, although we may have seen some of the younger guys, Bryson in particular, kind of buck that trend a little bit last year. He just kind of bombed and gouged his way to victory last year. The whole course plays firm and fast. Everything's going to be fast. The greens are going to be super fast. There's a lot of false fronts. They do a thing here too that I really like, which to make it a little bit tougher. So the rough is going to be super long from everything I'm seeing this week. The thing is, when it gets close to the water, they shave it down and kind of funnel your ball towards the water. So there's going to be a lot. You're going to have to beware of the water this week. There's big numbers lying all over the place, and kind of what you both were talking about. It's going to be one of those weeks where it's like, if the course conditions are good, you're going to have to score in a hurry because if the wind picks up, we've seen winning scores as low as 4 under here. A couple of years ago, I think it was like 16 under a couple of years ago. But it can fluctuate, but likely it'll probably be about 12 to 14 under will be the winner-ish, depending on the weather, obviously. But, yeah, there's a lot of trouble on this course and a lot of big numbers for sure. So I think short game is going to be super important this week. Driving distance, any way to get an advantage this week is huge. I'm going to weigh bogey avoidance a little bit too this week just because you got to beware of that big number. I mean, different styles can contend here. We saw that last year. We saw Bryson, obviously, he tried to bomb it. He's bombing it 70 yards past Westwood, and yet they're competing, for the same tournament. So it's crazy. A lot of different guys can win here. There's a lot of guys that have really good course history too. So I think this is a week where I'm going to weigh course history a lot, but it's like one of those weeks where it's like, which is more popular, more prominent in your model? Is it going to be course history or is it going to be recent form? So that's, I think, the big question.
Anything to add to that? Anything to add to that there?
No, I totally agree on the course history versus recent form versus not even recent form and just baseline stuff. But also with it being a long course, I think I am definitely looking at some guys with some long iron prowess. You can get the proximity numbers in the model and work it that way. And we were discussing in the studio as well, like there's many ways to skin this cat. You can beat this course up with precision around the greens. You can get hot with the putter. Even if you're not a long ball striker, you can just get in the fairway, dodge all that rough, and make it happen that way. So there's a lot going on. Typically, I'm not a big course history guy. I like to go off of who you are at the moment and adapt them to the course. So you're going to see some guys I'm definitely not going to be playing this week, which is going to be a big risk. I'm nervous about it already, but I have my reasons and we're going to believe in them. We'll see if it pays off or not. So,
yeah, I mean, I normally stay away from the proximity stats in my model, or like this week, I've got proximity 200 plus, the longer iron shots, the longer par fours and the par five scoring all in my model this week. And it's something I stay away from. I don't remember if I was listening to Pat, because I listened to both of them. I don't remember if it was from the Pat Mayo, his show, or Rick Run Good show, but they were talking about why, what stat would you go with, driving distance or off the tee? Like, which stat do you go with? And they were talking about the driving distance, because typically the guys that have the driving distance have faster swing speeds, which that helps when you're in that super long rough, Jason, that you're talking about. It helps them be able to, bomb and gouge that course. Even if they miss the fairway, they still have the power to hit it out of that. So I actually did switch it out from off the tee to driving distance in my model for that exact reason. They're smarter than I am, obviously. So I'm taking their advice on that. And it just certain things, when you hear them, it just makes sense. So I stuck to those things. I stuck to the distance, the longer proximities, and the longer, par four and par five numbers this week. And I just think this week is completely different when I'm building my model compared to the last 8 weeks of this season so far. I'm doing things that I've never done before when looking at this event because of the way it plays.
Yeah, no,
it's crazy too, because you got to factor in. I mean, you're factoring. Sorry, we both paused. You're factoring in obviously a lot of different factors, and then you're kind of worried about the weather too. At the same point, like you're going to want to have guys that are good win players in your lineup just in case. I mean, we've seen it at this course. The Euros always do well here. That's not by coincidence. It's because they're used to playing in the wind. So I'm going to be probably more Euro heavy than I normally am. But yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement on everything else. The long irons, especially, you're going to have to be a good iron player to win here. So we know that.
I mean, we've had just as many. What's his name? The guy Matt Geary or whatever. We've had just as many long shots and short hitters win this event as we've had the Brysons, the Rorys, and Tigers win. Emery's the guy that I was trying to say. We've had just the same amount of short, long shots win this event as the superstars that bomb and gouge a course. And I think that's what it makes it super, super tricky. Because, like I said, I told you, Jason, earlier today when I was doing my research, I like more guys in the 6 and 7K range than I do in the 9 and 10K range this week. Yeah, because that's the kind of week it is. And the other thing that I've talked about it before, and it's helped me before, is these invitationals. There's only 120 guys. Well, 119 now that Bryson withdrew. Top 65 and ties make the cut. So the chances of having a 6 for 6 are a little bit higher, and you could take some shots. Everybody, Jason, I love my Sean O'Hare. I could take a shot on a Sean O'Hare this
Sean O'Hare. Yeah.
I love my Sean O'Hare plays when I get the chance.
You do love Sean O'Hare?
I do. He plays at my local country, one of the local country clubs. So
exactly.
The guy I bought my Jeep from, he has his name on his bag.
Hey, keep in mind here too that since 2006, only 3 Americans have actually won here: Tiger, Bryson, and Matt Every, which is insane to me. Matt Every won twice too in a row.
Back to back.
That's insane.
And he never got
only 3.
invited. He never even got invited back.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I looked.
Yeah.
So he won the event. The first year he won the event, he was like 65 or 75 to 1 to win. The next year when he came back and won, he was like 200 to 1. So he was the defending champ, and his odds got worse as the next year. That was when I saw somebody tweet that out today. I was like, that's insane, literally insane.
I think the bookies were like, don't put him back in the field. We can't afford another every hit.
Right.
Like everyone's gonna put him at 500 to 1 and hit on him.
I mean, I don't even know what the odds are this week for most guys because I'm down in Florida. And the one problem about living in Florida, if I move down here anytime in the next year or so, is the lack of sports betting. You're not allowed to sports bet back down here. So I got to wait till I get home tomorrow night at 9 p.m. tomorrow night and rush all my bets in. So I've solely focused on the DraftKings aspect of it. So let's dive right into the board this week. And you've got 5 really strong names in that 10K and above range. Obviously, Jon Rahm, number 1. Rory back at the top of a board. A couple weeks ago, he was further down the board at 11-1. You got Victor Hovland, Scotty Scheffler, and Hideki Matsuyama. And I've talked with both of you guys and some other people today about how confusing this range is because you can make a case for all 5 of these guys to be played, but you can't play all 5 of them. And I think because, we debate ownership percentage some weeks on this show, I think because all 5 of these guys are all so grouped together that maybe the ownership percentage kind of spreads out a little bit amongst those 5 and you really can't go wrong. So I don't even know which way to go with these 5 guys. I kind of am leaning with a certain order, but I don't know. Byron, what are you thinking about with this top 10K and above range?
So, ownership percentages are real iffy sometimes, but from the looks of it right now, it's really looking like a lot of people aren't really leaning towards Rahm. Yeah. And as we know, his recent few events have been demised by his short game, and that's super volatile. And it's something he can easily work on over the last 2 weeks because he missed the Honda. I bet you he's been chipping and putting his ass off. And if you can bring his ball striking to a course like this where it's very similar to Torrey in a way, right? You got these long approaches where he does fantastic from that range. So he leads the field in bogey avoidance. He leads the field in par 5 scoring. He's the best driver of the golf ball. It's just he does so many things well, and everyone's just fading him for his short game, which can easily turn into a big gainer for him right away. He's the world number 1 in the world. What are we doing here, people? Right. So I'm taking my shot at Rahm, especially if people aren't going to be going to him. This is the time. It's the kind of course that fits him perfectly. And then another guy I'm a big fan of is Victor. He's in that same boat with Rahm. He's a fantastic ball striker. His long irons are the best in the field. From 150 out, he's just incredible. So putts well, hits the ball off the tee beautifully, makes a lot of birdies, makes a lot of, dominates the par 5s and keeps bogeys off the card a lot. So I like those 2 guys at the top of the board. Rory obviously not a fan. His recent form isn't with the irons is what I'm kind of telling myself is important here, and he's just not doing it at the moment. So if you're going to give me an expensive Rory that's high owned, y'all have fun. So,
okay. Jason, where are you with these guys?
So I agree with the Rahm play 100%. I mean, we saw him play probably the worst or at least putted. The worst he's putted probably in 2 years last week. At one point, I think he was like 61st, and he ended up finishing T21. So, I mean, it's not the results we're looking for, but if his absolute rock bottom floor is T21, I mean, you can live with that. So I agree 100% with that. It's hard I love Hovland this week. It's hard for me to really decipher between these guys. I think the one guy that interests me a lot is Matsuyama. He's kind of got mixed history here, not super great. He's made a lot of cuts, but they're not really high here. But I just like the way he sets up for this course. And my thinking is kind of along the lines of, I think he's a different player in the last 8-10 months that he's been overall. So I think I'm going to take some shots on Hideki. And the name that's interesting to me in this range, I know I'm kind of touching on everybody, but is Scotty Scheffler. If he's going to be, I'm looking at everybody's ownership numbers, and they're all about 20 in this range. Scheffler's down at 12. If he's significantly lower than everybody else, is he less likely to win this tournament than Matsuyama? I don't know. So Scheffler's interesting to me this week. I don't know what I'm going to do about him yet, though.
I actually, Scheffler is, in my opinion, because of the ownership. And you touched on Byron for a second, and I want to mention it for a second. You said ownership numbers can be skewed a little bit. And I was mentioning this to Jason last week because I tend to, most weeks, I max enter the quarter jukebox. And the ownership percentages in the quarter jukebox when you're playing against, I don't want to call them amateur players, but
they're amateurs.
They're not putting in the effort into the models and stuff like that. The ownership percentages in those events compared to the bigger buying events, totally different. And when you go to FanShare or Fantasy National, you get your ownership percentages. They're basing them off the bigger events, not the quarter. So sometimes you kind of got to think about a guy in, somebody like Rory, if he's projected to be high on your thing in the quarter jukebox, his percentage is going to be higher than that.
Right.
Last week everyone was talking about Billy Horschel and his ownership percentage and what it was going to be. And I was in a bigger single entry buy-in, and he was like 35%. But in the quarter jukebox, he was only 19% or 18% owned.
That's a great point.
So I think people need to, when they talk about ownership percentage, they got to think about the events they play in. And in the cheaper events, people are going to play the names they know versus, the right names. But on you, Jason, I think Scotty Scheffler, he's my number one guy. And then I'm still debating. I kind of just eliminate it for some random reason because he didn't model out well for me this week. I eliminate Victor Hovland. And I literally can match with Scotty Scheffler, any of the other guys, and I would be perfectly content. And I just don't know. I mean, you may have convinced me to play, John Rahm as the other guy, with Scotty Scheffler. I said it a few weeks ago. You just play John Rahm every week, and you don't look back.
I think me and Jason are going to have to figure out who answers you, Phil. You're going to have to make some eye contact with us.
Oh, yeah,
but,
exactly.
For the most part.
I normally I cracked my first beer at 10:30 this morning. It is 9:22 right now.
10:30.
My motor skills are not quite on par at this point.
Yeah, you're double dating us. It's okay. We'll deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get into the 9K range because I told Jason earlier this. I absolutely despise the 9K range. First off, for ownership percentage, and just in general this week, you got Sung J M, you got Willie Z, you got Hatton, who won this event in I actually am eliminating his win because it was such a win. I mean, it was insane. 4 under, he won that event. You got Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Mark Leishman, and Adam Scott. We'll start with you again, Byron, because you're the guest. Your favorite play in this 9K range, or are you like me that you're just scared of this range for all different reasons?
Yeah, no, there's the guys I like are guys everyone's gonna like, and Matty Fitz obviously just is everything. Is you bet Matt Fitzpatrick in the betting market, right? And I'm just kind of leaving him alone in DFS because he's cheap. He course history, recent form, and price is going to be a disaster, man. So you can catch, if you catch a lucky break with him and he misses the cut or something, that's about a quarter of the field that's missing their studs. So there's a definite chance to get frisky over there. But if you are looking for a guy I like, it's Adam Scott. I think he's, a lot of these international guys, Americans have seemed to deal with the pandemic a lot easier than Rory's and Adam Scott's and things like that have to go back to their islands, right? Australia's a continent, but it's important to know that he's moved, I think, to the UK now or somewhere there, and he's taking his golf seriously. He's playing nice golf right now, and a lot of these guys like Leishman as well. You can put them both in the same bucket. I like them both. Both Australians, both can play these hard, fast courses really well. Good short games, great ball strikers, and they're both finding form that they had prior to the pandemic. And they're both a little lower owned and a little cheaper in that same range as Fitzy. So we'll see what cooks there. I like those two guys a lot.
Okay. Jason, thoughts on that, or somebody else?
So, well, no, I agree with both of those plays too. The first thing that popped out to me in this range was Zalatoris, but apparently popped out to everybody else too because he's listed at 24% right now. So obviously a lot of people are going to be playing him. So I think if he's that high, I'm probably going to pivot off of him, to be honest with you. Two guys really intrigue me, and they're not – I don't know. They don't jump off the page as much, but one is Sun J M. I like him a lot this week. He has really good course history here. I think he was T21, third, and T3 here. So obviously likes the course. I feel like he fits the course well. He missed a cut last week, burned a lot of people, so I think that might keep his ownership down a little bit. So he's really interesting to me. And then the other one's Hatton. I know that you said you're eliminating his win, but he's played well here. And just last year, I was kind of like looking back a little bit. You don't want him. I was kind of looking back last year, and so many podcasts absolutely loved Hatton in this tournament last year. And it's like, yeah, he was T21, so he didn't finish quite as well. But I mean, that's still pretty solid. And he hasn't played in the U.S. yet, but he was 5th in Dubai and 4th in Abu Dhabi. So obviously, he's coming in decent form. So I don't hate Hatton this week either.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about, again, you start bringing up ownership percentage in this ring, guys, and you both said Willie Zalatoris as, Jason, you said he's projected what, 24%? You said. So I went
24.
Remember,
yeah,
I talked about on this show. What's the value of an ownership versus whether they can win or not, and where you think they're going to finish? And I was going to play Willie Zalatoris and either Sung J M or Adam Scott in this range. They're the only two guys I'm going to play in this range. And I think Willie Zalatoris, I already told Jason earlier today, when I get home and my sports betting app works again, the first bet I'm playing is placing is Will Zalatoris to win this event. I love him this week. And if I'm that confident that he can win the event, I shouldn't be scared off, and people shouldn't be scared off on a 24% ownership. If you're that confident, so you kind of got to take, ownership percentage and kind of like, can they win, or what's their best they could do? Top 10, top 15. Like if Will Zalatoris was at best going to be a top 20 guy, then you get scared off by that owner percentage. But I'm pretty confident that he's probably my favorite to win this event. So I'm not scared away by a 24% ownership. So it's going to be Willie Z, and it's going to be either Adam Scott or Sung J M, and that's it in this range.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. If you like someone a lot, go for it. Don't be scared of an ownership percentage, but don't play just a little bit of them, because then you're going to get screwed up there, right?
Exactly.
Jesus, my dog doesn't like Willie Z either.
Here's the problem with Willie Z, though.
Yeah. Go for it.
I just have a problem with Willie Z. So 25%. He was T10 here last year. He's in good form. He can definitely contend, but the problem is career victories 0. I don't know. I worry about him, especially at 25%.
What was the people that were not betting Scotty Scheffler a few weeks ago at the Phoenix Open, which me and you both bet Scotty Scheffler? The other people that weren't betting him said, well, why would you bet him? He's never won. And we talked about this before. The young golfers in this league right now on this tour, there's going to be a lot of guys getting their first wins this year. Why not Will Zalatoris this week? His game is right. His form is right. He's going to win an event this year. Why not this week on a course that he could actually get through? Go ahead, Jason.
PGA Tour victories 0. Korn Ferry Tour victories also 0.
It's fine. Mm-hmm.
How did he get in? Did he just rack up top 5s and a bunch of points, or?
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yep.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You think it's because of his putting? You can't ball strike your way to victory. Yeah. Nowadays with everyone being so aggressive and things, it's you got to have a career day on the ball striking front to do that. So yeah, that's a good point.
Oh no, yeah, fair points. We'll find out. We'll find out next week.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah,
you never know. I'm going to say I'm not. The one thing, Byron, that I've told on the show a lot is I'm sticking to my guns this year. I'm not letting the outside influences change my opinions. I'm using the information the right way. Yeah, well, you and Brian and Rob and Dave, all the guys that are on this show on a regular basis, they influence me. The first show I listen to every week is Rick Run Good's DraftKings Breakdown, and he influences me way too much. I got to stick to my guns. Got to stick to them, and it's worked out this year. All right, so let's get to the 8K range, which is a little bit better in my opinion than the 9K range, but lots of great names again in here. My second favorite to win the event is in this range. But Horschel, Burns, Homa, Gooch, got lots of names. Kokrak, we haven't seen much of him lately. Casey, name I keep hearing a lot about. Sergio. So, Jason, we'll flip the script. We'll let you go first this time, Jason. Thoughts on the 8K range and your favorite name or two in this range?
So, I can't believe I'm saying this on an actual podcast, but I don't know how you avoid Keith Mitchell. I mean, the guy has just been on fire lately. I mean,
he's my second favorite.
His stats line up perfectly here. Which is crazy to say. I'm so pumped to play Keith Mitchell, but I almost feel like he's underpriced at 8,100. I mean, second off the tee in this field, third in par 5 scoring, fourth in scrambling. His course history, his recent form is awesome. His course history is he had a 43rd last year, but a 5th and a 6th in the other 2 years. So, he's playing the best golf of his career. I don't know how you don't click on him this week. Love him this week. And then the second one for me is Paul Casey. We haven't seen him a lot over here. He's been playing on the Euro Tour a lot, but I mean, his game on paper fits perfectly for this course. I mean, tee to green, he's fourth in the field. He's first in approach. He's fourth in proximity from 200 yards. I mean, he's just statistically lines up perfectly. I think he had a 10th here last year. I mean, that might be the only time he's played, but I like him a lot, especially if the wind picks up too. Those are my two favorites.
He's a super underrated ball striker with his irons, dude. Paul Casey is like one of the best in the world, like top 10, easy top 10, maybe top 5 with his irons. Incredible. Absolutely. And I like him a lot too. My turn, Phil.
Yeah, absolutely. You're up. Put your hand up when you're ready to talk.
Let's go. So I've got
second grade. Raise your hand.
Are you done, Jason? Sorry, I really wanted to get in on the Paul Casey there. No. But I will go with Sergio Garcia. He's one of my leading guys I'm going to have on my betting card and in DFS. I love Sergio. Now his course history is exactly that. I said on my podcast, like it's history. His last time he played this course was in 2013, and he's played here 8 times. So he's got some good course history. In his 8 times he's played here, 4 top 10s. And he's also got that famous shot that he hit out of the tree, that he went like way up into the tree and hit like this backhanded thing and then jumped out and almost like broke his knees. I would have broken my knees for sure. But anyway, he's going to be low owned. He's a ball striking beast. He hits his driver so impressively, and he's second in the field in par 5 scoring, which is super critical. Yeah, this course only allows birdies on the par 5s in general, right? Like it's the par 5s are only 4 holes that you can make under par scores regularly. So that's going to be critical if it goes low, par 5 scoring. And then he gets so good the further away he gets from the flag. His woods are incredible. He's like one of the elite fairway wood players in the field. And he's got great course history here, and he's not bad around the green. So if he can just tidy it up on the greens, he's gained on the greens a few times in the past. And then another guy I really like is Cameron Tringali. Okay. I don't like him as like a person, but I really like him as like a golfer, right? So he's goofy waving and like he's just a cringe factory to me, but he's made me a lot of money in my betting history. He's 8K. Going to be low owned as well because maybe a lot of people don't like him like I do, but he's missed 3 cuts in his last 7 events, but he's also finished inside the top 20 in the other 4. So you're going to get some good premium upside with him if he makes the cut, which I think this course is difficult. He's a real good short game specialist. Off the tee, not that great, but really good iron player. So Cameron Tringali is my other guy.
Yeah, he wasn't on my list, Tringali, originally. But you make some really good points about him. But like you guys have brought up, I love Keith Mitchell this week. Paul Casey, absolutely love too. Sergio's on my probable playlist. I want to get your guys' opinion on a guy. I think he's not getting talked about enough. He just hasn't played a lot this year. And it's a guy, he's got great course history. He finished, where is he on my list here? He finished tied 8th last year, 18th the year before that, 10th the year before that. Yep. And he played really good golf last year in general, is Jason Kokrak. And he's a guy I almost week in and week out, he was in my lineups last year. And no one's talking about him this week. He's 8,400, got the course history. And I think his numbers are a little skewed this week, his recency form, because he just hasn't played a lot. He played at the Genesis. He had T26 there. The Sony, he went a month in between the Sony and the Genesis not playing. So, Jason, thoughts on Kokrak this week? Because it's a name that no one's talking about, but my eyes keep going back to every single time I look at the board.
Yeah. No, I like Kokrak this week. So I pulled up the stats just at Bay Hill. So he's played 32 rounds here. He's 3rd tee to green, 2nd in approach, 1st off the tee, and 6th in bogey avoidance. So basically, all the iron game off the tee and his bogey avoidance are all top 6. I mean, that's really solid. I don't like to nerd out on stats, but I mean, that's pretty telling. I mean, the only person whose stats rank out better here than him is Rory, which we know his course history. So I think he's super interesting. Like you said, he hasn't played a lot, but I mean, in theory, he's a great iron player. I mean, he's obviously good off the tee. It's just a matter of him with always the putting. That's the story. So, but at 8,400, I like that a lot.
Byron?
No, but he's actually a really good putter, right? It's just when you see him putting at Genesis, it's because he's putting for par from 15 feet because he sucks out of the bunkers, and stuff like that. So If
True.
he gets to a track like this where he enjoys it, he can be putting for and just your whole mindset changes when you're putting for birdies versus putting for pars, right? Like you can get rolling or you can just get unhinged. So I like a golf course where you like to play well. So I like Kokrak too.
Yeah, Kokrak, I'm almost positive. I was giving you guys the opportunity to convince me not to play him, but I think you guys have reassured my thought process that I think that's a play for me. All right,
Good.
7K range. Nice. A lot of really interesting names in the 7K range. Byron, we'll get back to you here on this. Thoughts on the 7K range? Some of the names: McNeely, Power, Connor, Kirk, everybody's favorite, Bazudenhout, Fleetwood, great course history. Are you leaning any way in this 7K range?
Yeah, I'm all in on Seamus Power, bro. I
love it.
Seamus Power is. I love him. He's so well rounded. You know, nothing about his game sucks. He's apart from when he misses the cut and whatever. But he's only done that twice.
He's first place to 200th place in one day.
That was a melt. I mean, talk about. Let's not get into meltdowns again. But yeah, but these are all. Berger's not a rookie, but Power is, right? He came from the Corn Ferry as well recently, and he got in because of the Barbasol win or whatever. But man, he's just got some numbers, buddy. And like bogey avoidance around this golf course, he's second in the field and top 20 in so many. I'm not going to bore you with all the stats. He's just top 20 in just a lot of them, which is great. So he might not necessarily win, but he's $7,600 and he's finished inside top 20 in the last 7 of his 10 starts. 7 of his last 10 starts have been inside the top 20. That's great. You know how hard that is to do. So, and he's $7,600. The guys that are doing that are like 10K. So, what is he doing down here? And he's 6% owned. It's like, okay, I'm
6%.
I'm going to go there.
Yeah, that's a definite look.
Yeah, and then Cameron Young, he's going to be a little more owned and whatever. But I think he's like profile is a Bryson. Absolutely a Bryson. He absolutely launches off the tee. He's longer than Bryson even. And like his irons aren't necessarily as good, but Bryson's a top elite athlete and world-class golfer. Cameron Young is just starting to get his feet wet on the PGA Tour. He's been playing a lot lately. Yes, that is a concern. That. Okay. But he's also playing, he's young. So it's not like me where I climb out of bed after 8 hours of sleeping and my knees hurt already. So he's going to be fine. I'm not too concerned about that. He's trying to get into the players. He's going to be motivated. He hits it far. He can putt really nicely. Makes a lot of birdies. Cameron, I've got him for an outright even. So I'm rolling with Cameron Young in a lot of different lineups.
Yeah, last week I think I said you just got to keep playing Cam Young till he misses a cut. And then this week coming into the week, I was like, my question mark is, when do you say he's played too much? And he's going to have that off week because of it. And that was my only concern this week about Cam Young. He's played 6 of the last 7 weeks or 7 of the last 8 weeks, and he hasn't had a week off in quite a long time.
It's also golf. It's not the NFL, right? It's like not like he's getting tackled by his caddy and playing partners, right? It's golf, dude. I can go on vacation and golf for like 2 months straight. But
I don't know about that, dude. I took 100 swings at Topgolf the other day in an hour and a half, and my back is not moving anymore right now. 100 swings in like an hour and a half. It's a bit extreme. And for the last hour, we were only allowed to use the driver. So, I was swinging guns to the wall there for an hour there. So, yeah. Jason, where are you looking at here in this 7K range?
So I absolutely love this range. Justin Rose is the first name that jumps out to me. I pulled his stats just here too. I mean, he's second tee to green, second in approach, and second in birdie or better at this course. I mean, he's played 50 rounds here too, so it's not like a small sample size. So I absolutely love him. Zadenhout's an interesting one to me this week. I didn't realize, so he's played here twice, and it was a 7th and an 18th. I guess I didn't even realize that he had played here, but I mean, he sets up perfectly for this course in theory, right? He's a great iron player. His results have been a little mixed. He hasn't been he hasn't had the spike weeks, I guess I should say. Like, he's been pretty consistent, but he hasn't really had the boom week. But I feel like this is as good of a course as any for him. Like him a lot. And then the last one I'll say is Chris Kirk. I mean, he has great course history, and he's also been playing out of his mind. I mean, he's playing the best golf he's played probably of his life, too, over the past few weeks. And to see that he's only 7,500 seems a little low to me. the way he's been playing.
Dude, I was hoping you avoided saying Chris Kirk's name so that I could be the smart one to say his name. But I love that play. I love the same as Power play as well. The Rose play, the Cam Young. I'm going to throw Corey Connors out there as well. I know he's got a couple missed cuts. Finished third here last year. He's a guy that I really like this week. You know, let me bring up his numbers here on my screen here. But again, another guy that strikes the ball really well, really good on approach. You know, he's another one of those guys. If he just putts decently, he could go top 5 easily. And again, what's he, 7,600?
Yeah.
So I like that
He
name.
had a third year last year as well.
I'm sorry?
I think he finished third last year.
Yeah, he did finish third last year. Had 2 missed cuts prior to that. But, you know, I did see somewhere, where it was on my side note, the last 5 winners of this event had all finished in the top 7 at some point in their career at this event. So, you know, Corey Connors has a third place finish. His game seems, if his putting is decent, he can have another top 5, if not win, in this event this year. Other names I wrote down with question marks. I put McNeely on my list, Luke List on my list, Hoagie. Keegan's another guy. He's one of those putters. If he putts well, he's got a chance on a course like this. You just don't know if you're going to get good putting Keegan or worse than me putting Keegan, which I'm a bad putter. So yeah, there's some other names that I got listed down here in this range.
And then I just want to add real quick as well for like a really arb play that a lot of people might not see coming is like Kevin Na. Okay. You know, speaking about guys who have an elite trait that you can really lean on around here with short game, Kevin Na. You know, he hits it super accurate. He loses off the tee because of his distance, but he's in the fairway a lot. So he's going to be hitting from the fairway. So he's going to be missing in places he knows he can get up and down from. And not like a lot of people, he's going to be looking at birdies while he's chipping and bunkering and all of that stuff. He's really special when he's got a wedge in his hand around the green. So, you know, low owned.
It's interesting that you bring him up because he wasn't on my list. And now I'm looking at him. And I don't know. I mean, we could ask you, I mean, you're the model maniac. I don't know whether you do your models over 36 rounds, 50 rounds, 24 rounds, however you do them. I do them over 36 rounds, my model. And he came in at, where is he? I just lost my place on here. 42nd in my model. But when you go across all the things in my model, he is like great in all of them, except for he's 112th in the field over the last 36 rounds in driving distance. So that's the only reason why he's not in the top 25 in my model, which means he would have been a lock on my playlist, is because of his driving distance. And if I would have used a different stat in that range, I'm sure he would have, you know, been bumped right up in my list.
No, I use like 80% 2021 stats from like the PGA website, and then 20% like 2022. And then as the year goes on, I increase 2022. And Kevin Na is number 1 around the green. So it just means that no matter when he shows up, he's going to be the best pitcher and chipper around the fringes. So it's almost like guaranteed he's going to play well around the greens.
Yeah, I like that. I'm you've convinced me this very strongly, even though I said I wasn't going to take outside influence. You've convinced me possibly to, you know, add him to my list this week. Absolutely.
Have another whiskey. I'll start speaking to you some more.
Yeah, I'm almost empty on whiskey here. This Kirkland brand whiskey is really hurting here. The 6K range. I actually think there's some plays in the 6K range. And if you're going to play John Rahm, Rory, any 2 guys in that top 10K range, you've got to find a few good value plays. And like I said earlier, you know, with the high percentage of people that make the cut this week, you can take some chances. So outside of Sean O'Hare, the best play of the week, guys, give me some 6K range plays. Jason, actually, just so you know, Sean O'Hare in the field is 3rd in DraftKings points gained in the field. Just so you know, in this event only. He's got really good course history here. So he likes playing this event, and nobody talks about Sean O'Hare except for me in the entire golfing community, but I might actually have 1 or 2 clicks on Sean O'Hare this week.
And when you get back home, go put a first round leader bet on Sean O'Hare. His best round by round stats is easily he's one of the best in the field in first round.
Yeah, I promised myself I would not make any first round leader bets this year.
Just go sprinkle on him. It's like $2, dude. Yeah, like $2. Can make $200 easy. Yeah.
All right, Jason, 6K range. What are you looking at here?
So I have 2. First, I'm going to go back to the well on Sam Ryder. Just love him. I don't know why. I just really like the guy. He's been playing really good golf lately. I had an outright bet on him last week, so I told you I think on Saturday, going into Saturday's round, that he was, I think, in 9th place or something like that. So I was getting all pumped up that he might contend, but he never really did. But I mean, he still, for a guy that was, I think, like 7,000 last week, I mean, still finished relatively well last week. The other one's Dylan Fratelli. He's playing really good golf here too. He had a T18 2 years ago here, but his last 2 tournaments, a T16 at Honda and a T26 at Genesis. So another guy that he's a really good putter. We need him to get going with the putter, but when he's on and he's putting well, I mean, he's unbelievable. So yeah, Ryder and Fratelli are my 2 favorites for sure.
Okay. Byron, thoughts in this range?
I'm gonna go double Pat. Patton Kazaya is my first one. He's 30th ranked in my model, and he's all the way down here in the $6,500 range. And he's mainly there because his irons are immaculate, and he's peaking with them right now. He's last 24 rounds, he's the 3rd best in the field. And we've got John Rahm, Victor Hovland, Russell Henley, all these boys that can hit their irons really well. Patton Kazaya is 3rd in approach from the last 24 rounds. He's also really good at putting, and his bogey, birdie, and par 5 rankings are really good in this field. So I think he's kind of mispriced a little bit, in all honesty. And then my next Pat is Pat Perez, who's also a similar kind of profile. His approach game has been fantastic lately, and he's also a really bad driver of the golf ball, but it's not necessarily to do with his. It is a bit to do with his distance, but he's really good around the greens as well. So once he gets it in the fairway, he's going to be money. So that's Pat. And then I have to say, Cam Davis and Garrick Higo are 2 guys that are like, not necessarily like you don't want to bet them, but they are DraftKings plays. They make a lot of birdies. They got firepower, and Garrick Higo can putt. I don't know if you watched much of the Honda Classic and saw him just draining things from everywhere. Like when your ball's coming in from a 90-degree angle from off the green, like, what are we really doing here? Like, that's just lunacy. So he's got some skills on the green. And then, I can go on about a lot of these guys. Dylan Fratelli is also great. Just hits it a mile.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys can't bring it. Like I said, I joke about Sean O'Hare, and just because I joke about him, I'll play, 1 or 2 lineups with him. But I love Kaziri, like you said. Pat Rogers, is a name I'm looking at. I'm looking at Aaron Wise. Aaron Svensson, he's a guy that I've been playing all year, and then I get off of him for 1 week, and then he has his best week of the year. And I've literally been pumping him into every lineup for week after week. And he's been doing okay and making the cut, and then in round 3, just completely, dumping in the 3rd round. And then I take him out of my lineups for 1 week, and he has his best week ever. That broke my heart big time. So I love Wise, Svensson, Rye, Rogers, Cam Champ. I think there's some plays. And we talk models all the time, and we're brought to you by Fantasy National, fantasynational.com, leader model maker right there. But sometimes models can be a little skewed also. And I'm going through my model today when I build it, and a name popped up. I've never heard of this guy's name. He's priced $6K even. He's 25th in my model, and never heard of the guy. He only has played. He hasn't played on the PGA since November. He's been playing on the Korn Ferry Tour, and even that he doesn't have great results on. But Davis Thompson, do you guys even know who he is? But he popped at 25th in my model this week. And it's like sometimes you need to realize, I like to call myself the 6K whisperer, but I ain't playing no Davis Thompson this week, even at 6K.
I mean, looking at him, he's got some off the tee numbers recently are not bad, and he can putt above average. So, if you're looking for a guy that's a flat 6, it's not the worst case scenario.
But why would you put a flat 6 in your lineup anyway, right?
If you're going Rahm and, some big
if I
boys
want to play
up,
a lot of Rahm and Rory in the same lineups, you might as well throw him and you go Rahm and Rory with Sean O'Hare and him. You still got some money left. For our 3-way contest, that might be. I'm going to have to think about that. That might be the way I go right there. We'll see how that works out. All right, we got more people chiming in here. Ryder, what's not to like? Good choices. I actually think, like I said, I agree with you, Hingo. The 6K range, it's loaded with really good plays this week in this kind of a field. And we've seen guys with really long shots, win this event from time to time. So I really think the 6K range is underappreciated this week. Yeah. So
and
we're going to build
some
tour
guys as well. Sorry,
the Korn Ferry Tour guys. Yeah, people ignore them sometimes.
just better Corn Ferry Tour guy. Those guys are studs. They wouldn't have made it out of there. I mean, look at Willie Z, all these boys. They're great. So it's a pressure cooker down there.
Absolutely. It's still professional golf. It's more than the three of us are doing on a regular basis for sure.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's build some lineups. So, Byron, your first time on the show, the way this works is there's no rules. You pick 6 guys you like. I mean, you don't have to worry about leaving money left over because it's only a 3-way contest. It's all for fun. You have to enter this. I've already submitted you the lineup or the contest entry. You have to submit it. So far, 8 weeks in, I've won 3 of them this year. Jason's won 3 of them, thanks to Daniel Berger last week. And the guests have only won 2 times. So this is your chance this week to level the playing field against the guests. All right, so you got to take an extra squig of that Arnold Palmer there, and you need to pick a winning lineup to beat us this week.
All right, so let's go back to the bottom. We're gonna go up.
Okay.
I want to talk dirty about some of those guys at the bottom there. Who did I have in mind that I was talking to you boys about earlier? Patton Kazaya. Let's go, Patton.
Okay.
Let's go, Cam Davis.
I gotta agree with you though. He is so underpriced at 6,500. Absolutely agree with you on that statement earlier.
And then I'm gonna go Tom Hoagie.
Ooh, we haven't talked about him tonight.
And then what's that? 92. Okay.
9,800 left with 3 spots to fill.
Oh wow,
that's a lot of money left over there.
Yeah. So let's go John Rahm. Let's see what we can do.
Okay,
Rahm 91, and then I want Seamus Power. No. So let's go Seamus. Yeah.
Power.
Yep.
Okay. That leaves you with 10-6 to round out your lineup.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it leaves you a lot of money. I mean, you've really gone low. Stars and scrubs style.
Scotty Scheffler. Let's do it.
Scotty Scheffler. Oh man, that breaks my heart right there. That's a great lineup.
Are you allowed to take my guys, or is that?
I am allowed to. I always try to be different. Jason likes to copy whoever the guest is and double up on every single player. That's what he does.
First,
Yeah. He always doubles up
playing
on
defense.
That's what he does. I try to be unique in this thing here. But again, I keep looking at it. The more and more you talk about it and the underpriced Kaziri, I love that statement.
I love this lineup.
Yeah, I'm actually going to write this lineup down. I'm putting this lineup in some of my 20-some lineups that I build on a weekly basis. This is a fantastic. This might be the best guest lineup.
Thanks,
at this
buddy.
point.
I appreciate it.
I like the brown nose a little bit, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I'll take it.
All right, Jason, you're on the board, brother.
No, it's your turn, bro. I won last week.
Oh, I got to go next? Oh, fudge.
Yeah.
All right. Let me keep an eye on his so I don't double up here. All right. So
go for it, dude. I mean,
no.
I
told you, I'm going Sean O'Hare. I'm going Davis Thompson. Just for whatever reason. Why not? That leaves me a lot of money. God. I'm going to play Willie Zalatoris. I love him. Yeah, I'm absolutely smashed right now. Keith Mitchell. We are going to go Rory. It leaves me 9,200.
Oh, you son of a fuck.
Look at that lineup. Look at that lineup. I am drunk and I just fit Adam Scott, Rory McIlroy, Will Zalatoris, and Keith Mitchell in the lineup. I
like it.
I got to write it down just because I'm afraid I'm going to forget it here. All right, my lineup's done.
You could save it in your DraftKings.
Yeah, well, no, because I need to put your lineup in here. So.
Oh yeah.
Which
I'm also going to build.
That's why I like to go last because I want to thank the viewers tonight. You could be watching the State of the Union right now. I know everyone else at this house for staying at. I can see it on the TV.
True.
You could be watching that, but you're choosing to watch more entertaining stuff right here on Fairway right now. Just so you know.
Or reruns of PointsBet and BK.
Yeah. But we got somebody saying they're going to risk a dime on each of these lineups. I love it. I don't know who you are, Hingo. I love it though. Appreciate the view tonight.
They best be good.
Yeah.
I love Hingo.
Listen, I promise I'll make you at least 30 cents.
Yeah.
For sure. All right.
Retiring on that money right there.
I'm starting from the bottom too. Okay. I'm going with somebody that we have not talked about to start my lineup. My man Thigala. I don't even know how to say it properly. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know how to
7K.
Oh, okay. Real quick, can we pause here real quick? How did he do last? Oh, he played at the Genesis last 48th. Okay, I'm just curious how he made out after
I'm thinking.
his Phoenix Open, run there. I'm just curious.
Okay, I have a theory. I just have I guess it's a narrative about him. Big game hunter. He's going to be around for a while. He shows up to these big tournaments. This is kind of a bigger tournament. He's going to show up this week big. That's my thing.
Okay.
It's all narrative, but whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go.
There's a way to play that narrative there. I like it.
I'm going Chris Kirk, 7,500.
Love it. Great play.
Playing great golf right now.
Slam dunk play this week.
I'm going Casey and Kokrak in the 8K range.
Ah, shit. I forgot all about Kokrak.
Oh, shit. I skipped one. Yeah. I skipped a guy in the 7K. I got to go back to the 7K and do Justin Rose.
Oh, this lineup's coming together, bud. I like it.
I know. This is another. I mean, hey, you want to play a winning lineup? This might be the best three-way lineup there ever has been. And that leaves you 11-1. That leaves you a lot of money on the table.
I'm taking Rory too. So
yeah.
Sorry.
Copycat.
Yeah.
All right. Dude, no lie. And I'm not just saying this because, I'm trying to impress our guest here, But, this week, sometimes our lineups, we have these good lineups. We battle all weekend long on Twitter. Whose lineup's going to win? Whose isn't? Unfortunately, Hunter last week, our guest, had a 5 of 6 lineup. That's 5 of 6 missed the cut lineup. I'm going to throw him under the bus a little bit on that.
He's great, though. I love
Hunter. Hunter's the best.
Yeah.
But, we do this battle all weekend long on Twitter. But normally our lineups that we pick on the show, if you take the point totals and we throw them in like the big GPPs, they're not even in the money sometimes. I think all three of these lineups would cash in a GPP, no doubt about it, in my opinion.
I love it. I'll send me some photos of that handwritten scribble you put down there. And
you don't want to see it. I could barely.
I want to see that whiskey italics.
Yeah, Jason, I'm going to put that on you to send him that right there.
Yeah,
because I can't do it.
We got you. Don't worry.
All right. So let's pull this off the screen real quick here. Again, Byron, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a blast and all. So you do some writing for Rotoballer. You do some different stuff. You're always on different people's podcasts and stuff like that. If you had to talk to people that are just seeing you for the first time tonight, what is the biggest mistake fantasy golf players make on a week-to-week basis when they're doing this kind of stuff?
Oh my God. I would say, looking at just the week before, I typically like to see a nice solid run of performance from someone, at least 2 or 3 tournaments worth of things. Like if you see a good player that has a decent baseline that's been playing badly that kind of pops again back to that baseline, then it's cool. But if you just see like someone just randomly from a KFT just have a really good 1 or 2 rounds at a tournament and shoot lights out, next week, especially if it's with the putter, like putting can be catastrophic for people picking players that don't know about stats and stuff. But if you've done well because of your putting and not necessarily struck the ball well, the next week most likely isn't gonna be what you're looking for.
Excellent. Well, appreciate it. Anything else you want to promote, talk about? Anything else you got going on right now from what I got there? So
yeah, no, I'm writing for Rotoballer now. Really happy to be there. I do an article about breaking 100. You take your $100, bet on outrights, bet on first round leaders, bet on top 20s. I got a nice little structure that we do.
Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? Was your first article on that?
Yeah.
I read that. I loved it.
My second one just released prior to my podcast that I did today. That's called Back 9 Bets. Find me on YouTube. You can go check out my Twitter profile at The Model Maniac. I'll have all that stuff on there. That's pretty much all I'm getting up to nowadays. But if you're looking for anything else from me, you know where to find me, boys. I really, really had a blast on the show with you guys. I can't tell you how much fun I had.
Well, we appreciate it. This was Fairway to Heaven, as always, every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. on DSM Media, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Keep sharing it out. Hingo checking in, saying great show and all that stuff. We appreciate the new views. We appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us all. You're going to get the greatest interaction from Jason and I. We will answer every question, every comment. If you send me a DM, I'm going to go into it. We're going to debate and discuss everything with you all the time. We don't all get Paige on our show as a podcast guest. Some of us are stuck with Byron as our podcast guest. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in very much. We greatly appreciate it. Again, thank you to Byron for tuning in tonight. We'll see you next week. And hey, everybody, let's cash on a GPP this week.